New Hampshire Motor Speedway has evolved over time, but the loyal Northeastern race fans have always returned to Loudon on race day because this 1 mile oval is magical. Welcome to beautiful Loudon, New Hampshire. The New Hampshire Motor Speedway's United Site Services 70 for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East. I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside Parker Kligerman, and joining us with coverage from pit road today will be Derek Perniciglio. As you can see, it's a beautiful day for racing. 78 degrees, clear skies, and we're ready to go. So where is Loudon? Well, you're just about an hour outside of Boston, Massachusetts. Lots of race fans in this area, and many of them have made their way to the 1 mile oval known as the Magic Mile. So here's a look at the point standings, and Parker, it's really come down to two guys, Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, 22 points.
Yeah, and they're proving to be the benchmark that everyone in this series is trying to measure themselves against. They're separating themselves from the field and showing that they are the ones to beat and probably going to be the ones fighting for this championship.
Earlier, Derek caught up with our pole sitter.
Guys, it's a little loud down here in the pit area. That's because the NASCAR Xfinity race is still going on here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The K&N race is up next, and this guy is on the pole. Fourth straight pole for Chase Purdy, and how is it that you keep knocking down these poles?
David Gillen Racing gives me really fast cars. I got to thank Bama Buddies and Textron Off-Road. I mean, they've really helped me a lot this year, and I don't know what I'd do without them, but it's time to seal the deal. I'm ready to seal the deal, and I think we can get it done today.
You've had so many great runs so far this year. What do you think you have to do to finally get into victory lane?
Just being smooth and consistent, really. I mean, just hit your marks, run your own race. Start on the pole. Hopefully we can get out front and set our own pace for the field and really manage everybody. So just get out there, set your pace, get separated, and hopefully win this thing.
For the fourth time this year, Chase Purdy goes from P1.
Well, Chase has been dominating the pole wins, but let's take a look at race victories now as to who's grabbed checkered flags in 2017. Kyle Benjamin, and you can see there it is, Harris Burton and Todd Gilliland. That's why those two are at the top of the points. Well, they've been racing here at Loudon for years, and back in the day, it was known as the Busch North Series. Let's take you back to 1999, the fall race here. Watch Bill Penfold in the zero slide to the inside and hit the barrier in his zero. Kelly Moore in the 47, one of the veterans of the tour back in the day, had his issues. This is Brad Layton wheeling the 55. He was having a good run on that afternoon. Dale Shaw here in the 60 gets into the rear of Tom Carey Jr. in the 42. Carey noses it into the backside, and a big pile up there. But eventually it would be Brad Layton in the 55 who would hold off the rest to take the win in New Hampshire on that afternoon. And the celebration would begin in Victory Lane. Many of those who have gone on to win here at Loudon, New Hampshire have had great careers in NASCAR's premier division. We're coming right back for racing here in Loudon. K&N Pro Series Racing at NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. Getting closer to the green flag here in Loudon, New Hampshire, the United Site Services 70, the K&N Pro Series East Division. Well, as we get ready to go racing, let's take a look at who to watch with Derek.
Ralph, right before we go green, one of our Who to Watch drivers tonight isn't really a regular in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series. It's a modified guy. That's Andy Seiss, starting in the 17th position. He's driving Teddy Marsh's number 31 machine, and he picked up the ride this weekend because he's been racing ARCA a little bit here and there, and he finished second recently down at Talladega. Well, the K&N Pro Series cars run the 12-point flange fit bodies, and his car owner, Chris Auer, wanted him to get used to running that type of body on a stock car. So they called Teddy Marsh, they put a deal together to put Andy in the 31 machine, and he makes his NASCAR K&N Pro Series East debut here this afternoon.
Parker, I got to believe that's a pretty good pick, too.
It is a great pick, and to think, you know, that when these opportunities come around for a driver, It's getting a little bit of experience in the stock cars. It can be a bit of a transition to a different stock car. He mentioned earlier today about it being one of the flattest tracks he's been on compared to ARCA, and it's a lot of adjustment, but good experience and something that you can take further into your career.
Well, he's going to get 70 laps to get it figured out here today. Ronnie Bassett Jr. is going to start on the outside of the front row next to Purdy. Hey, Parker, there's row 2 for you.
Yeah, that's the Titans of the series. Todd Gillen and Harrison Burton starting row 2 side by side. It'd be great to watch them try and get to the lead.
Can you really call guys that young Titans?
Well, the thing is, they've just separated themselves from the rest of this field, as we've seen. They've become the absolute benchmark that the rest of these guys are measuring themselves against, and I would say if you're going to win this race, you're going to have to beat one of those 2 cars.
Probably both of them. Here we go, coming to the green.
Getting 3 wide already, a very even start, but a good jump by Chase Purdy there on the inside.
Purdy gets it squared up, pulls away, and leaves Gilliland behind him. Late afternoon sun here today in New Hampshire, so we'll have some sunshine in sections of the racetrack and definitely a lot of shadows, like all the way down the front stretch here. That's going to affect the handling of these cars.
Well, and to add on to that, you just had an entire Xfinity race run where we've had this PJ1 track bite surface or, adhesive put down on the bottom lane and the upper groove. And all of that is going to add to the uncertainty of what these drivers are experiencing right now because they really haven't had the chance to be on the track in these conditions. And a lot of drivers from that Xfinity race felt like that PJ1 track bite adhesive was maybe going away, was starting to come off the racetrack a little bit. So we'll see if it's still there and if maybe the dominant line is that middle lane.
Dylan Bassett in the 44 pushing the limits of that adhesive as he comes through 3 and 4. Here's a fight for 10th. Garcia, Cabre, and Beasley all battling here. Chase Cabre out of Tampa, Florida is in that Max Siegel Incorporated Toyota, and that's the Ford machine.
Yeah, and you saw Jay Beasley there in the 42. Fought a bit of transmission troubles in practice. Felt like that car's a little tight, but does enjoy coming to this racetrack. Felt like he could have a good run today.
Lots of race cars have been on this track this weekend. Of course, NASCAR's top division is here. The Whelen Modified Tour is here. K&N Pro Series. A lot of activity. This racetrack gets a workout every time NASCAR comes to town.
It does, and it's a lot for these drivers to experience because you have all those different types of rubber being put down the racetrack throughout the weekend.
Let's get more on the conditions from Derek.
Ralph Parker, the Xfinity Series just ran a 200-lap race here before the NASCAR K&N Pro Series rolled out onto the track. So there's a lot of Xfinity Series rubber from Goodyear laid down on the racing surface. The crews are telling the drivers over the radio, don't overdo it in the first couple of laps. Wear away that Xfinity rubber and let our rubber for our K&N cars start to come in, and the cars can start getting better adhesion to the Speedway.
Those drivers will be searching for that field to change to give them an indication. Oh, Vinnie Miller in the 41 has come to a stop. Looks like a flat right front tire, and he's kept it off the wall. Fires it back up.
Yeah, fortunately there, Ralph, it doesn't look like he got in the wall, so maybe able to get this car around and get that tire changed and no harm, no foul, but definitely don't want to go too fast. You don't want that tire to tear apart and start ripping apart those fenders, which are crucial here, or even drag that car too far on the ground.
Yeah, you can see the front of the car already scraping across the pavement. Here comes everybody by. Looks like maybe he stalled it again.
Yeah, he's going to lose a lap here. This is just compounding the issue here for Vinnie Miller.
Well, let's see, everybody gets by him. Then he might be waiting for a push here now.
Yeah, might not be able to get restarted.
Well, we'll get restarted when we come back from break right here on NBCSN. Getting ready to go back to green on what is the 71st running of NASCAR's K&N Pro Series here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. See one car back there. It's like a little bit of smoke coming out, blowing some water out under the hood there. You see that, Parker? Is that Julia Landauer?
I did, just a little bit of overheating there, but what a restart by Todd Gillen. Gets around Chase Purdy. And notice that Todd Gillen on the outside there was able to get the pass done. That's been the predominant line in Cup and Xfinity and Truck Series here, and I was interested to see Chase Purdy choose the inside lane for the start of this race and be able to hold the lead, but definitely Todd Gillen was able to get the lead there on the outside, and I think you'll see that if we have any more cautions today to be the predominant line on restarts.
Bassett in that 44 is inching his way up, isn't he, as well? On the outside here, the black car with the red day glow numbers getting around the 12 machine of Harrison Burton, who seems to be dropping backwards at this stage of the race.
Yeah, they're almost about to be 3 wide there. And one thing Derek mentioned earlier in the broadcast was that, you know, you have that rubber from the Xfinity Series cars. You have that rubber that was put down earlier before that race from the modified cars. And so one thing you need to do at the beginning of this race, especially the first 10, 15 laps, is let a lot of that rubber come off. Let it get pushed aside and let the rubber of these cars get laid down before you really start to assess your car and push it too hard, because this track is going to change drastically over these 70 laps. And I think, you know, we saw that in the Xfinity race as that PJ1 track bite started to come off the racetrack a little bit. The line moved around, and so these drivers are going to have to search for grip more than ever. They've probably, some that have been here before, are definitely going to have to be very open to finding different lines that are working. As you see Harrison Burton trying to make that bottom line work.
Well, let's get an update on Harrison in that number 12 from Derek Perniciglio.
Harrison Burton runs inside the top 10 right now. He's lost a couple of spots since the drop of the green. He started 4th at the beginning of this race, but his crew chief, Marty Lindley, said he doesn't think that they have the straightaway speed that some of the leaders do. So they're trying to settle in and pick off cars as they go. They're trying to salvage a very good points day out of the day for the number 12 of Harrison Burton, who comes into this race with 4 wins to his credit.
The interesting thing about Harrison, if he's on the podium this year, that's because he's won. He's got no seconds, no thirds, but he's got 2 fourths and a 5th.
It's true. I think, you know, it's kind of been a win or bust time for him. But, I mean, the thing is, if he's not winning, then the car that's leading right now is probably going to be winning. These two, as I mentioned before, have just been absolutely class of the field. And I think Harrison, you know, didn't have that same similar amount of success last year. It was a struggle at times last year for him, but he's really matured and come into his own this season. Meanwhile, the guy he's up against for this championship, Todd Gillen, has had a ton of success in the last 2 years. It seems every day he's winning another race. So, you know, it's definitely going to be tough for him. He's going to have to turn days like this, where the car isn't perfect, where he doesn't feel like he has that winning car, into that top 3 finishing position, maybe, and especially a top 5 if he wants to contend for this championship.
Harrison showing some speed now. It all began in the middle of 3 and 4 here a lap ago when he showed really good mid-corner speed, fighting the handling a little bit there.
Yeah, look at him work that wheel off turn 4. That is a loose race car, and that's not something you want to have here. That's a tough deal. You want a car at this racetrack that gives you stability on entry, is able to turn the center, and then allows you to mat the throttle up off, and that's drive off that you need. You want to be able to get the car pointed straight before the straightaway and be able to get hard into the throttle and get a run down these long straightaways. And therefore, when you have a car that's able to do that, you will be tough to beat and be able to pass a lot of cars. That's what you want to see.
Sheldon Creed in the 40, trying to fight off the challenges of Tyler Dipple's black number 30.
We see these different lanes that they're running. That's what this racetrack tried to make happen, that PJ1 track bite. We're seeing it here right now.
Here's Derek with more on Sheldon.
19-year-old Sheldon Creed hasn't run many NASCAR K&N Pro Series races, but he's got a pretty good resume so far. In 2 West Series starts, he finished 2nd at Orange Show and 9th at Sonoma. In the East Series, he's got a 19th at New Smyrna and an 11th at Bristol. He hasn't been doing too bad this year. He's been bouncing back and forth between the East Series, West Series, and ARCA. But the funny thing is his racing roots stem from racing off-road trucks.
Sheldon comes out of Alpine, California. We've seen a few people come out of the trucks, off-road racing, that have done pretty darn good behind the wheel of a stock car. You can trace it all the way back to Walker Evans, who was one of the first in the truck series.
Well, Ralph, one that comes to mind in my head is that old 7-time champ Jimmy Johnson, who came from the off-road trucks.
Yeah, he's done all right.
Exactly, and I think he'll make it in this sport one of these days. So
yeah, one of these days.
Definitely not a bad role model to have, and not a bad path. And you know, the one thing that Jimmy Johnson always credits those off-road trucks that what it taught him and what he was able to apply to stock cars was that you do so much with the pedals in those trucks. You're constantly using the brake and the gas at different and odd times to make the truck do things that you want it to do. And therefore, when you get in a stock car, you can take that and apply it a little bit to the stock cars and trying to manipulate the car at times to do things that you want to do by using the pedals. So maybe Sheldon will have some of those good lessons that he can take from the truck into these.
Brendan Gaughan, Riley Herbst, Ricky Johnson, just some of the others who come out of off-road trucks and had successful careers in NASCAR. Here's Harrison continuing to wheel that 12 towards the front of the field as he's now behind Wallkill, New York's Tyler Dipple.
And that 12 car looks really good to the center of the corner right now. I know he looked a little loose off, but he's definitely turning the center better than these cars in front of him. As you see him go down into turn 1 here, he's going to get that straighter exit off the corner than Tyler Dipple, and that's allowed him to get the throttle down and be able to get that run onto the straightaway. And I think as we go into 3 and 4, he might get another run on Tyler Dipple.
Looking to put the 38 of John Wood a lap down here. And what you have now is pretty much what you have for the entire race, too, Parker. There's no scheduled pit stops here today.
Exactly. No halfway break, no tire change, so they need to protect these tires right now, especially that right rear. You do not want to abuse it so that you get to the end of this race and find yourself struggling to put the power down.
And the sun is dipping down to the racetrack, covered in shadows all the way around the Magic Mile in Loudon.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Bassett Jr., driver of the Bassett Version 4, number 04 Chevrolet from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I started running Bandolers when I was 8 years old, and I got my first K&N East win this season. We've had a monkey on our back for a long time, and to start out this season with victory is always cool. These guys have done a great job over the winter building these race cars, and we've had some great runs and one tough one, but we'll keep on digging. Yeah, we've got a bunch of guys from the H. Scott group that shut down last year, and we were fortunate enough to grab a couple of them and help our program a little bit, and like I said, hopefully we can get some more wins this year and keep our strong runs going. Our goal is to win as many races as we can and to win a championship. You know, we've been in this for quite a long time, and we haven't won a championship yet, so we're going to try and get after it. I'm Ronnie Bassett Jr., and that's your NASCAR Next Gym Profile.
Here's your race leader. Todd Gilliland has been out front for the majority of the day here today at the United Sight Service 70.
Ralph, look at that 16 car come off turn 4. We saw earlier Harrison Burton sawing at the wheel, almost flies in there, trying to get off the corner. And meanwhile, that 16, very straight, very steady. It's going to be a tough car to beat today.
Here's Chase Purdy in the 17. That was our pole winner today.
4 poles in a row for him, showing a ton of speed, and that's something you want to see out of a young man. You want to see him go out there and throw down fast laps. You can work on the race stuff, but you can't teach speed.
As we work our way through the field, here's Derek.
Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 04 car runs in that 3rd position. Started on the outside pole when we took the green. Walked over to Chris Bowen, the crew chief, and I asked, "Are you guys just riding right now?" And he nodded his head yes and said, "Yeah, right now Ronnie is just taking care of it."
Of course, Ronnie didn't run in this race last year. The team dealing with a fire at their race shop, so it's good to have him back here in New Hampshire this year.
Definitely, and I like that strategy. I mean, we talk about it a lot in this series, but when you're only given one set of tires for 70 laps, you've got to take care of them. You've got to take care of that car, and the only way you can do that is when you find yourself in a position like Ronnie is right now, kind of by himself on the racetrack. He's not worried about someone, catching him from behind. He's not trying to run down the guys in front of him, and so what he's doing is protecting those tires, protecting that race car in the event that we start to get cautions. We get a late race caution that allows him to have a little bit more tire on that car, a little bit more grip, and can maybe challenge for the victory. And that's just what you have to do in this series. You have to be thinking all the way to lap 70 from the drop of the green flag.
Watching Sheldon Creed now, who runs in 4th in the number 40 United Rentals backed machine, as we continue to show you the cars on the lead lap here today. Then right behind him is Tyler Dipple, who's in a pretty good fight with Harrison Burton. This is one of the best squabbles going on the racetrack right now for position.
It is, and I'm surprised when I looked at that 12 car and how quickly he caught Tyler Dipple. I would thought he would have driven right by him. But Tyler Dipple's obviously been able to up the ante and hold off Harrison Burton. And this has become a great battle, as you said. And this is a tough spot because Harrison probably wants to push it. He wants to get by Tyler, and start marching his way towards the front. But as we heard from, Ronnie Bassett's team, that's not what the front guys are doing. So Harrison's in a tough spot if he does get by Tyler Dipple, and we do get that late race caution. He's abused his tires, abused his car more, then it's going to be tough for him to compete with those guys. And that's why this series is so tough. And you're put in such a tough position as a young driver that you can't go 100% flat out all the time. You've got to be thinking ahead. And we're seeing right now, Harrison seems to be maybe want to just get by him because he's pushing pretty hard.
Yeah, and Dipple doesn't have a lot of experience here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This is only the second time the driver of the 30 has competed on the Magic Mile. And we're closing in on the halfway point here, too. Scheduled for 70 laps, just over 74 miles in race length.
Definitely. And Ralph, I don't know how many years you've been coming here, but when have we seen this many different lines at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Magic Mile? It's really been incredible this weekend, what we've seen out of this racetrack and how many differing lines it's offered in the corners.
Well, I've been coming up here since it was known as Briar Motorsports Park, when it was just a road course. So I've seen a lot of different lines around this facility, that's for sure. Dylan Bassett in the 44 here, running in 7th with the 14 machine of Trey Hutchins, trying to close in on him.
And I love what I'm seeing about the different setups of some of these cars. You notice that 14 car has the nose all up in the air. Meanwhile, that 44 is right on the ground. That's a differing philosophy and setup. And that may come into play as we get later in this race. You have teams that are going with that more traditional big front spring setup, or some teams that are going with that more coil bound setup and allowing that car to stay right on the ground the whole way around. So we'll see how that plays out and which cars and setups seem to be the best for us in this race.
Let's get an update on this group from Derek now.
Dylan Bassett runs in the 7th spot right now. He comes into this race 9th in points on the strength of 2 top 5s and 4 top 10s. He started 12th, has been picking cars off as the race has been going on. He thinks that he could be a lot better if we had a caution flag to bunch the field back up. He also thinks that he's going to gain a lot of his positions this afternoon on the starts and restarts. Trey Hutchins runs in the top 10 right now. A nice, good, strong run for him. Finished 8th in this race last year, and he likes this track a lot. Before the race, he said, we've been doing our homework, and we have a little bit of a notebook and some setup sheets for this racetrack. That's another reason why I think we run so good here. They came out with a 6th qualifying effort today, started him up front, and he's managed to stay in the top 10 right now. How about Brandon Oakley? He's only run a handful of K&N races. He's a super late model driver from the Ohio area. His home track is the Killcare Speedway, and it's his first time here. He likes the track a lot, and he enjoys going really fast, and he had a very good qualifying effort in the 9th spot, and so far, he's been hanging tough in the top 10.
Yeah, he's doing a good job as we've reached the halfway point here.
Great job, and he's coming in this race was really focused on maybe trying to get a top 5, but most of all just staying out of trouble, and he's doing that. One thing to note that's great about this series, that 44 car of Dylan Bassett and the 14 car of Trey Hutchins, both of those drivers have run the same car all season long. Think about all the different racetracks they've been on and been able to run one car throughout this season. If you protect that car and take care of it, you can get through most of the season on one car, and that's just great about this series.
Well, you can see Oakley was really fighting the wheel coming off of 4. Smoother off at 2. Talking about this 51 right here.
Yeah, looks solid right now, and one thing for him is he talks about staying out of trouble. That's easy to do when there's not many cars around you. So he's in a good spot right now. Hopefully learning from Trey Hutchins and Dylan Bassett in front of him, seeing what lines they're running, seeing how hard they're pushing their cars. You heard Dylan wants a restart. He thinks he has a car that can compete if they get a restart or a caution here, and I think Oakley's in the same position.
Watching Ruben Garcia Jr. now, still within the top 10.
Ruben is a champion in NASCAR. He's a 2015 NASCAR Mexico Series champion, so he's won a championship before. He's definitely a great competitor, and is just starting to learn these heavier K&N cars continually as we go throughout the season.
Derek, how about Colin Cabry?
Colin Cabry in that number 2 car was talking with his crew chief, Matt Butcher. He said the car is very, very loose. Butcher came back over the radio and told him, go easy on your exits off the corner and don't burn the rear tires off.
Good tip on a day like today when you have to make those tires last the whole race here at Loudon in one afternoon.
I know at times we may sound like a broken record talking about tires in these broadcasts, but it's just the biggest topic within this series is that you do have to protect those tires. It's just crucial. It's the only way you can compete is by taking portions of these runs and protecting those tires. And you might think, why would they do that in this series? Well, one, it's great cost effectiveness for this series to not have a lot of tires for the teams to buy, but two, for the drivers in this series, being a development series, you know, they learn what they need to do with their cars over the long run. They learn how to protect the tires, protect the car, and they can take that into the trucks and Xfinity series and eventually the Cup series because you get long runs in those series. You'll have a run that may be 100, 120 laps, and you need to be able to protect that car over a run.
Todd Gilliland right now has dominated the day here in Loudon. We're coming right back for more on NBCSN. Getting deep into the second half of the race here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Let's take you back and show you how this one got started. Chase Purdy in the 17 started on the pole, but he has slipped back. We've only had one caution. It was for Vinnie Miller, who cut a right front tire down. Outside of that, it's been all about this guy, Todd Gilliland, absolutely dominating the first half of the race and continues to do so here in the second half. You can see he has led 36 of the 43 laps completed today and just have one caution flag for only 3 laps.
Ralph, he kind of put notice on the field right from the initial start. He was starting down there in 3rd place, but by the exit of turn 2, he was in 2nd place and was 3 wide as they went into 1. So he's been very aggressive and basically said, I want to get to the lead of this race and never look back.
Oakley in the 51, side by side with Garcia, and this is a very good fight right here for position. It's exciting, Derek.
Ruben Garcia Jr. in that number 6 battles right now with Brandon Oakley in the 51 machine. He's the 2015 NASCAR Mexico Series champion, and he wants to finish a little bit better than he did last year. He finished 20th when the checkered flag flew in this race 1 year ago. But they think that they have a very good car today. They said they didn't qualify that good, but they do have a lot of speed. Right after this race, Ruben has to hop on a plane and fly down to Mexico to run a NASCAR Mexico Series race at Aguas Calientes Super Oval in Mexico.
A lot of NASCAR racing down there in Mexico. Folks on this side of the border might not be aware of all the racing that's down there with NASCAR-style stock cars, but it's very popular down there.
Definitely is, and you got to think that Ruben's trying to follow in the footsteps of his countryman there, and Daniel Suarez, who's gone on to the Cup Series, been an Xfinity Series champion, been a great example of the talent that can come out of that NASCAR Mexico Series, as I believe most people would say that, you know, Daniel Suarez is going to be a Cup Series championship contender in the years to come.
Certainly has the potential. Dylan Bassett in the 44. Trey Hutchins in that 14.
Dylan Bassett and Trey Hutchins have been in lockstep like this, I think, the entire 46 laps of this race, been right with each other. Just this little bit of a couple car length separation. And these two look to me like they are protecting their cars. Like they definitely are riding right now. They're not pushing it. You don't see them getting overly sideways. They haven't made lunges at each other, for Trey to try and make a pass on Dylan. They've just been running like this, 2 different lines and protecting that car in the event that we do get that caution. Meanwhile, Ruben Garcia seems to be on a different plan. He's coming for them in a hurry.
Yeah, he's trying to move his way through as quick as he can. We're down to almost just 20 laps remaining here this afternoon.
And that's one thing to note is that there is certain drivers and teams that thought, as we get to lap 45, I'm just going to go. And if that's, where I am, and if I go there and it ends up going green all the way to the end, well, then I'm going to get as many spots as possible. And that's what you might be seeing out of Ruben Garcia Jr. And maybe that at the same time, that race car is coming into its own. It's starting to handle right. It's starting to do the things he wants later in the run. It was set up to do this. And, he's going to try and drive to the field as far as he can. And if there is a caution, he'll just deal with it then.
Well, we are definitely late in the afternoon here in Loudon, New Hampshire as well. Track cooling a little bit, not probably too significantly, but that in itself will impact the handling. Maybe some of these cars are starting to come around a little bit.
Definitely. I think, there's just so many variables that have been thrown at these drivers today. As we've mentioned, the tire rubber, the PJ1 track bite, and the setting sun and that track cooling down. I mean, there's no way to really be prepared for all of it. And so what you do is you just try to think about what experience you've had, what you've had throughout the season, these cars and with these tires, and start to think, what do I want my car to be doing at lap 50, lap 60, and eventually to lap 70. And that's what some of these drivers have done right, and some others may have missed it a little bit. And that's just something that is what makes this series so unique. You've got to be able to have a car that can deal with the changing and variable conditions throughout the race with no adjustments.
Well, we certainly seem to have at least 3 grooves of racing here today, too. Drivers have been all over the place as we continue to watch Bassett, Hutchins, and Garcia fighting over 7th.
Yeah, it seems to be one of the best battles on the racetrack is these 3 all running pretty low, and Ruben trying to get even lower than all the 2 in front of him. But it's just interesting to watch these drivers try and find the lanes that work and being able to use those different lanes and dime in the corner a little bit. As you see, the 6 is probably the highest there, but now he's going to be one of the lowest on the exit. The 44 was one of the lowest on the entry, but he's the highest on the exit there. That's just what's been awesome about this racetrack this weekend, is we've seen drivers be able to do different things in the corners and find speed.
Good example of it there. You can see all 3 of them in a different lane as they work their way through 1 and 2 as the sun continues to set to the west here of Loudon, New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's getting, you can see that sun's far behind those trees. It's definitely starting to get a lot darker at the racetrack here, and it's something as a driver that can be a lot of fun. Is you start to see different things on the racetrack and start to, you know, not have the same ability to see the things that you saw earlier in practice and such, and so the way you drive the racetrack can change just in the marks that you use around it.
Sheldon Creed in the 40, trying to fight off the advances of Harrison Burton, man who's won more races this year than anybody else.
And think about the family lineage of Harrison Burton here at this racetrack. His dad absolutely dominated a race here one time. He's definitely got some great coaches for this racetrack in his family, and I think that he wants to run well here. He knows how much his dad loved this racetrack, and having his advice has probably been helpful. But in talking to Harrison, it's just been maybe a little bit of a struggle for him this weekend. He hasn't quite felt like he'd adapted to this racetrack as much as he had liked. You heard the report from Derek that they felt like the race car didn't quite have the straight line speed that they wanted. But that's a good experience for him to come to a place that his family's been successful at, his dad's been successful at, and maybe have a bit of struggle. He's going to come back here better prepared next time.
301 laps I watched his dad lead that day, all the way to victory. Well, if you have anything left, now's when you're really going to need it, because the United Site Services 70 only has about 10 laps remaining. So if Harrison Burton wants win number 5, he's going to have to hurry up and get around Sheldon Creed's number 40.
He does, and maybe Todd Gillen might have a little something to deal with there. I just saw that the fastest lap was Chase Purdy, who's trying to run him down. But I think this is the point where you are done saving. You're going to put everything to the side here and try to push as hard as you can to get the positions in front of you, because at this point there's no guarantee you're getting a caution, and you're coming down close enough to the end that you need to just try and get every position possible.
Well, and you're going to want all those points, because as we came into the day, Harrison Burton and Todd Gillen were only separated by, I believe, 22 points, and it looks like Gillen's going to try to take a bite out of that points lead today.
He will, and this is damage control for Harrison Burton. You know, that knowing that Todd Gillen's up there leading the race, winning, he's dominating this race. He's had a tougher day here for Harrison, but if he can get himself into the top 3 and just minimize the amount that Todd Gillen's able to gain on him, the points, that is how you win championships. You take your days like this and you go out there and just get the best that car can possibly give you, which might not be a win. It might not even be a top 3, but it's a top 5, and that is important to winning championships.
Well, and I think that's where the difference is between the two, but Gillen's having a great day so far, Derek.
Just walk down to your leader, Todd Gilliland's pit area. Talk to the crew chief, Chris Lawson, asked them, has Todd said anything on the radio? They said no, they just shook their head. He's being real quiet. All we're doing is just giving him the lap count.
Can't imagine why, Ralph.
Yeah, right?
It's an easy Sunday drive for him.
At this point, he's just thinking about which restaurant they're going to celebrate the victory at.
Exactly. Hey, can you guys start pulling up directions there on the iPhone real quick? I'm ready to go here. So they might as well just engrave the trophy at this point. That car has been flawless throughout this race. He's done an excellent job driving it. And I think even if there was a late race caution, he's had the restarts we saw to hold off the rest of the cars. I can't see him giving this one up.
This is going to be a great run for Sheldon Creed, too. As we mentioned, he has not had a lot of experience in this series. You can see that from the yellow rookie stripes on the back of the car. And he's fighting off one of the best in the series right now in Harrison Burton for 4th place. That's a good run.
It's a great run, and sometimes for a young driver, what's funny is you'll go to a place like this, a flat mile oval that you've never probably experienced in your career, this type of racetrack, and suddenly it will click. It will be something that you feel like, you know what, I know how to get around this place, and it makes sense to me. And that might be the case here for Sheldon Creed at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He seems like he came here and immediately was able to click with this racetrack, understood what it took to go fast here, what he needed over the long run, and that's the kind of thing that really builds confidence in young drivers. When you come to places like this, that you know that if you want to be successful in stock car racing, you're going to have to be good at this type of racetrack. You're going to have to eventually race here in the big leagues, and you come here your first time and are really good at it. It's a great confidence booster.
Well, and Harrison is giving him all he can handle, too. As you watch Creed's hands fighting the wheel coming off of 4, Harrison's been looking inside, looking outside, right up on that bumper, and Sheldon has weathered all of it. Here he comes again, looking outside with 5 to go, cutting back inside on him, and Creed defends it and maintains the lead coming off of 2 for now.
So low, he almost scraped the left side door on the inside wall there. I thought he was going into the apron, but yeah, he's just going to try.
That's tight right there. I thought maybe he was going to get into that left rear corner. Doesn't touch him, and they continue with the laps winding down.
This is great racing. We've seen this out of Harrison throughout this race, just marching his way forward slowly but steadily. And right now he's got this one car in front of him that if he can just get the right runoff or 2, he seems to be a little stronger there and get inside of Sheldon, get his spotter to stay inside. He may be able to get him and force him out of the groove into turn 3.
Here he comes again. And Sheldon takes the line away.
Didn't quite give him the bumper. There he is. There he's in the bumper a little bit. Moves him out of the way to the inside, Harrison Burton.
Good drag race down to 1. Creed right alongside. Not lifting yet. Gonna run in door to door with him down into turn number 1.
I love those white gloves you see on Harrison Burton. Working the wheels. He got into the entry of the corner. Hard on the brakes. Side by side off 2. Sheldon Creed's doing a great job. Hold him off on the outside.
I'll tell you what, that's some fantastic driving skill from both these young men as they've raced that aggressively, that close, and for the most part, cleanly.
Oh, and he's able to clear him off turn 4. Great pass by Harrison Burton. An excellent battle among these two, and that's really a textbook pass at New Hampshire. Sometimes it takes more than a lap, but when you do get it done, it's like that. Just off the corner, get the throttle down and drive away.
Well, and all that battling for 4th has allowed Todd Gilliland to easily make his way to the white flag in the final lap.
This car has been exceptional. That driver has done an incredible job here today. He really has been the one to beat and never even gave the rest of the field a chance to think they had a shot at him. He has dominated this one.
Todd Gilliland, 2nd win of the year, will come in New Hampshire in the United Sight Services 70 as he claims the win here today.
Very impressive win by Todd Gilliland, and a statement for the championship there, Ralph. You know, knowing that he's going up against Harrison Burton, who's been able to win more times this season than him, he had to get back in victory lane and say that he wasn't going to let Harrison run away with it, and that's what he did here today.
Well, let's go down to pit lane. Here's Derek.
Kind of an easy one for you today, wasn't it?
I definitely wouldn't say easy. It's been a tough week between Thompson and here and getting cars ready and tearing one up there, but yeah, it's definitely awesome. Anytime DGR, BMR can finish 1-2, that's huge for us. So really proud.
How is it that this kid is just so good? Every time he hits the track, he's fast, restarts, initial starts, he's on it each time.
Man, I wish I had the answer. You know, it's incredible. It's very rarely does he make a mistake, and when he does, it's so minimal that, you know, he can overcome it, and he does, and he never gets never gets worked up. So I think that's the whole thing, whole key.
We'll see you in victory lane.
Thank you.
Todd Gilliland wins the big one here at New Hampshire.
Boy, he certainly didn't make many mistakes here today. That was as smooth a race as you'll ever see. Todd Gilliland did a great job. Grabbed the lead, never looked back. And we'll be right back after these words. K&N Pro Series racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. Todd Gilliland has made his way to victory lane for the second time this year. Our Derek Prentice-Siglio is down there ready for Todd to crawl out of the Napa Auto Parts number 16.
Todd Gilliland picks up the big win here this afternoon at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The Burton McAnally racing team smiles and hugs all around. David Lewis from Robert Yates Racing Engines coming in, and of course, here comes Dad David Gilliland to give his son a hug. Congratulations today on a race you dominated.
Yeah, thank you. That's how we like to win them. You know, I knew we could get them if there was a late race restart, but man, these ones feel the best for sure for us and everyone on my Napa Auto Parts team. You know, we have some guys from Frontline Enterprises here also, a big sponsor of us, so it's really cool to have you know, everyone here. I got to thank God, my team, my mom, she's here, everyone for believing in me. And we started out this year pretty rough, and but it's all coming around, and I can't wait to finish this thing off.
Only the second race for this car. You've had some luck with another car in the past, multiple wins this year, but did it make you a little nervous pulling out onto the track knowing that you don't have much luck with this car?
Not at all. You know, we were in the lead at Memphis when we had an issue, and this thing's got some big speed. So, you know, it just goes back to preparation. All our cars are so similar that it doesn't matter which one we bring, they're all going to be fast, and that's all preparation of these Napa guys.
Todd Gilliland wins today and closes that point gap between he and Harrison Burton.
There's Bill McAnally in that black shirt, giving his driver a big hug, and here's a look at those final results. Ronnie Bassett Jr., we didn't talk about him too much today, but he had a solid run to third, and Chase Purdy started on the pole, finishes in second.
Great runs by those two. Sheldon Creed able to come home with a top 5. Great run by him. Excellent racing there between him and Harrison Burton at the end.
Let's go back down inside the racetrack and hear from the man who finished second today with Derek.
Well, Chase Purdy, once again, comes home in the second spot. Had a very fast car, but it looked like it faded towards the end. What happened?
Just honestly, I tried to stay behind those lap cars, maybe put pressure on them, and maybe they'd get into each other and spin out, and there'd be a caution to have a chance at the 16 for the win. But that didn't happen. But hats off to my guys, David Gilliland Racing. Gotta thank Bama Buggy and Textron Off-Road, and just everybody that makes it happen. And finishing second. It's good and all, but it kind of sucks because we've qualified on the pole, 4 times, and haven't sealed the deal. I kind of feel like Kyle Larson, but we'll see.
Well, with Kyle Larson, he finished second a bunch of times before he started to dominate. You know that you've got good cars. You know you've got fast cars. Do you think it's just a matter of time?
Gotta be. I mean, it's definitely been a long time coming for me to get to victory lane, but I wish I could be there, and hopefully it will happen next week and sometime soon. But just gotta keep at it and keep digging, keep my head up, and move on.
Strong run and a good points day for Chase Purdy.
Speaking of the points, let's see how they stack up now after the checkers. It was 22 between Burton and Gilliland when we started the day. It's down to 14 now, Parker.
Yeah, it's just tightening up between these two. The battle gets better. And you see Chase Purdy there. He's a bit far back, but we know the speed he's had. He could maybe get himself into this championship fight if those two were to run into trouble.
Back to Derek.
Well, Ronnie Bassett finishes a solid third in the 0-4 today. And how was the race from your seat?
Kind of boring, to be honest with you. You know, we had 2 restarts in the initial start and 1 caution, but all in all, it was a good day. There's no tore-up race cars, and we got something to work on, make it a little bit quicker. We got to catch these 2 guys in front of us. The second week in a row, we run third, so we got to find out a little more speed.
You stayed up here in the Northeast from the last race at Thompson. You were able to work on the cars up here, but how much preparation went into it, being that you're so far away from your home shop?
A lot of it, you know, we worked on stuff before we came to Thompson to change at the racetrack. So, you know, we put a lot of time and effort into making these race cars fast, and like you said, we still got to pick up 2 more spots and find a little more speed.
Ronnie Bassett has already won 1 race this year. Another one is around the corner.
Speaking around the corner, coming up is one of the most exciting races of the K&N year. It's the combo race, the Casey's General Store 150 at the Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa. We get the West and the East together. You're going to see that right here on August 3rd on NBCSN. Well, the racing today, not a tremendous amount of passing, but some real good fighting inside the top 5. And when it was all said, it was a dominant day by Todd Gilliland. For Derek Perniciglio and Parker Kligerman, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from the Magic Mile here in Loudon, New Hampshire, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Congratulations to our winner, Todd Gilliland.